Welcome, friends. I'm so glad to have each of you here, either live or joining us back on the replay. Just want to give a big shout out to Alternative Balance and all of the support that they give us as members, including this webinar. So if you haven't heard about Alternative Balance, definitely check it out. And my name's Carisa Sharrett, and I am your host for today. So welcome. A little bit about me. I'm a parent and caregiver coach. I'm a best-selling author and educator, a mom to a young adult with autism and intellectual disabilities. And I also happen to be a big New York Yankees fan. So either I'm going to hear a lot of cheers or a lot of boos in the room, but that's a little bit about who I am. And I'm so excited to share today about our topic, which is home life improvement for parents. 4 steps to more success and less stress with your kids. And who doesn't want less stress and more success? So I hope today that you'll go away with some great tools to help you in your home and make those things a little easier to navigate through. So our mission today is to explore how to establish your family's why, communicate clear expectations, delegate responsibilities, and reward accountability. And the expected outcome we have is the ability to create a family environment that embodies safety, belonging, purpose, teamwork, confidence, and healthy habits. So here's a great question for our live participants. What has absolutely not worked for you as a parent, or if you're a grandparent? What's something that may have just absolutely not worked for you? Just give me some answers in the chat. It doesn't have to be really long. What has absolutely not worked for you? I know something that's not worked for me is yelling, right? Yelling doesn't work. What else? We've got not sticking to routine. Yeah, that's a good one. That doesn't work. Any other ideas out there? What hasn't worked for you? Parent, grandparent, giving a teen an ultimatum. Oh yes, that's a hard one there. Teenagers are their own breed, right? Well, thank you for participating in that question. So what I want to talk about is my family why, what it is, and how's that really going to help me? That's step 1. And as we look at, let me go back over to this other, here's the one I want. So when we're talking about having more success and less stress, I want to think about these 4 things that I talked about: the family why, communicating expectations, delegating responsibility, and rewarding accountability. And the my family why portion is like the hub of a wheel. It's the central portion that's going to help you with all the other 3 things we're going to talk about today. It's integral to making sure that your family is moving in the same direction and in the same positive direction together. So my family why? Well, your family unit, no matter what that looks like, is designed to work as a team. Each person has a role and responsibilities that they need to fulfill in order for your team to work together successfully to meet your family goals. And when you want your family to function as a unit, you need to treat it like a unit. And that means each person is expected and encouraged to be part of your family's why. The first step to cultivating a strong and successful family unit is for each member to understand why the family functions, how it does, what the purpose of that is, and how they contribute to the family being successful. That's so important. And so this is true for any stage or age or ability. In fact, the younger that you can start teaching and modeling this to your children, the more success you will see as they mature and grow. Yes, you must explain concepts to them like at their level, right? But for every member of your family, it benefits them from knowing and understanding your family's vision, purpose, and goals. So my takeaway on this part is that when your family's why is clear, it simplifies the daily decisions and actions each person needs to take. And that becomes a beacon for your family to light the way for the future that you guys envision. And so I have 3 easy tips for you on that. Let me just get to my tip page here. Oops. That's not helping. Thanks for your patience there. My little mouse just clicked crazy. There we go. So here are my 3 tips. Number 1, include everyone in the family. Really listen to and incorporate input from your kids and post your family mission statement. So again, include everyone in the family. As I said earlier, I have a son who is autistic and has learning disabilities, and yet I still include him in the conversation at the level he's able to. I really try to listen to and incorporate input from my kids, right? They're part of the team. If I want to act like a team, I have to treat the team like a team and not like I'm just in charge and they're just doing what I say. That doesn't ever end up working well when people are just doing it because you say so. They have to really buy into why we're doing things as a family. And putting together a simple mission statement doesn't have to be elaborate, doesn't have to be long, but something that talks about what your mission is as a family, what you hope to really communicate to the world is what's important to post so that everybody can see it and be reminded of that each and every day. So my next question is, who's willing to give this tool a try? So either by raise of hands or a thumbs up in the chat or on the screen there. And I'm going to just take a quick look at the meeting chat as well. Denise says, love the idea of a family why, a purpose with a common understood role within family goals. How they contribute love, that shows they're integral part of this family unit. Such a great way to shift my thinking, keeping everyone involved at their level. Yes. So looks like a few people are willing to try that. So that's awesome. Let's move on to our next step. Let me close that up. My mouse is acting a little crazy today. All right, so we're going to look at number 2, communicating expectations. Like I said, my mouse is acting up today, so I apologize, guys. All right, we're back on track. Communicate clear expectations. What do I mean by that? I mean, we talk about communicating clear expectations a lot, but how do we do that in our family? Well, once your family has established their why, it is important to communicate what that looks like in day-to-day life for each member of your family. You know, none of us think the same way or are mind readers. So communication is necessary to ensure that you have a successful outcome. And another important thing to remember is that communication is a two-way activity. It's not simply telling each person what's expected in your family. When there's no ownership, there is no real motivation to consistently follow through. And so with that ownership, you're giving them part of the solution, part of the piece of the family teamwork. And again, when we communicate in a two-way form, not just giving expectations, but getting feedback, understanding how our teenagers or how our young people are looking at the thing that we're telling them, we learn new information, we gather new insight, and we can roll that into what we're trying to communicate and how we're moving forward as a family. Because sometimes, hey, they got great ideas we never thought of, right? They've grown up in a world very different to how most of us have grown up. And when we listen, we actually can learn something from our kids, and we can figure out ways to help motivate them more to move in the direction that we're asking them as a family. So my takeaway on this is, when you want to communicate effectively and see your family unit be successful, use positive communication strategies and avoid communication pitfalls. And so my 3 tips on this one are: ask questions, give choices, and communicate what you want to see instead of what you don't want to see. So again, ask questions, ask them what they're thinking about, ask them what it means to them, ask them to explain to you what you shared with them, and see if what they're sharing back with you really equates with what you're trying to tell them. Give them choices. Would you rather do this or would you rather do that? When you give choices, it gives them power and it gives them motivation to follow through. So give them choices when you're asking them to complete things in the family. Do you want to do this at this time or this time? Would you prefer this chore today or that chore today? And the power of choice is just amazing. If you guys haven't experienced that before, I really, really encourage you to try that and see how that can change things in your family. And then communicate what you want to see instead of what you don't want to see. How many of us grew up hearing, don't do that, you better not do this, oh, don't even think about that? Well, you know, that's all fine and well, but you're not giving them the context for what you want to see, right? What do you want to see? How can they meet your expectations if they have no idea what you're looking for? They're just, you know, stabbing in the dark to find the right thing. And so make sure that your communication is clear about what you want to see instead of what you don't want to see. Make sense? All right. So what is your biggest challenge in communicating with your family? What do you guys have there for me? What's your biggest challenge in communicating with your family? For those of you that are joining us on replay, I just want you to think really quickly, like, what's one of the biggest challenges that you have in communicating with your family? Maybe it's that you guys are on different schedules and you don't get to see each other very much. Having time together. Maybe it's that you have a teenager in your home and you're just, you don't know how to communicate. You're struggling with their language. Maybe it's that you and the other parent or partner in the family is struggling with your message together. So those are some of the challenges that you might run across when you're communicating in your family. You have to understand what those challenges are so that you can alleviate them up front. So have a time where your family meets. Maybe it's even just once a week where you're having dinner together, or you're having some movie night together, but before and after you're doing something else. I see in here they're saying, seeing the faults and want to address what needs to change brings negative conversations in and focus becomes tense. Yes, very true, Denise. And letting one child take most of the attention. Wow, that kind of hits home, because as a parent who has someone that needs extra care, it's a hard balance to figure out how not to do that. And so those are some great points there. So again, make sure you're asking questions, giving choices, and communicating what you want to see instead of what you don't want to say. So which tip are you guys committed to implementing at home this week? What's one that just really hit you out of those 3 tips? Was it the asking questions that you need to do more of? Was it that you want to try giving choices? Or are you going to be more clear about what you want to see versus what you don't want to see? Just tell me in the chat there. Focus on what I want to see. What I want to see and what I don't want to see. Yes. Great. Thank you for sharing. All right. So in step number 3 is that we need to delegate responsibilities. And that's a big one, right? What things right now are you willing to delegate to others at home? Here's my quick question for you. I want you to just think, what things are you willing to delegate to others at home? Sometimes that can be really hard, right? One of the most difficult responsibilities as a parent is to commit to and follow through with delegating and teaching responsibilities. You know, we often think it's just easier and quicker to do it myself, right? How many of us have that thought? Do it myself. In the short term, that may be true, but in the long term, that is an impossible pace for you to keep up in a multi-person household, right? Doing everything yourself is also actually a disservice to the other members of your family. People learn best when they're actively involved in tasks and responsibilities, not when they simply watch other people do them. In fact, in this day and age, they're not even paying attention that much. So, you know, they're worried about who's texting them or what Snapchat is going on or what TikTok they haven't seen. And so it's really important that you get them actively involved and not just say, watch what I do. When they don't have to take responsibility for the family's success and well-being, they don't learn the skills that they need to manage their own household in the future. And so how many times are we seeing now that it's taking a lot longer for children to leave home, not just because of the financial, there is a financial portion, I think, for an economic portion, right? But there's a portion where kids are not excited and looking forward to getting out of the home because they don't have the skills they need. And that's our job as parents. And it's often difficult to let go, right, of doing things of ourselves because, well, no one can do it like me, right? And that might be 100% accurate. But let me share with you that there is no way for anyone to ever learn without practicing it. And there's no way for you to do everything all of the time to your standard and still be at your best self for yourself and for those that you love. It's too much. We have to let go of that need for perfection. We need to teach the people in our household how to meet the expectations they're responsible for. And we need to praise them for their work and effort instead of criticizing them for their lack of perfection. You know, we need to learn how to best serve our family by leading them. And so when you are teaching and showing your children how to meet those responsibilities, we always want to look at what they're doing right first, right? Look at what they're doing right and praise them for that. Make sure that they've got that all solidified, and then move on to, okay, let me work on this part with you a little bit more because I think I might not have explained it clearly, or let's try it again together. Find ways to do it positively as opposed to, look, you know, I told you to clean the bathroom and the mirror's still dirty. What were you thinking, right? How motivating is that if someone were to say that to you? So my takeaway on this is sharing in family responsibilities actually increases your connection with family members because you're spending that time together. It gives you purpose. It teaches teamwork in your family, and it helps you to feel confident and for your kids to feel confident because the skills that you are teaching them promote self-regulation and accountability for all of them. And let's see here, Denise said, that's a great example. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Well, thank you. So my 3 tips on this are teach through modeling and practice. Don't just tell your kids what to do it with them. Teach them, do a gradual release of responsibility to them. Hey, let's clean the bathroom together. What do you think we should start with? Should we start with this or that? And if it's something that, you know, doesn't make sense in the order, then say, well, have you thought about doing it this way? Because then this becomes easier. When you're spending that time actually modeling and practicing it with them, then you figure out where the gaps are with what they're doing, right? You can't do that if you are not spending the time. And then you want to make sure that you focus on success rather than a quality control mindset where you focus on what wasn't done, right? Focus on the success and reinforcing the things that you want to see. Wow, I really love the way that you straightened up your room and you organized everything. Man, your room looks so much more bright and fun, and I can see all this stuff that you have on your bed. Man, I just love the feeling I get when I walk in your room when you've straightened it up like this. Or, wow, I can't believe how quickly you got that homework done, and now we get to do this. What was different today? Was it easier? Was the way we organized it, did that help you? Did the time we chose help you a little bit more? Really getting into figuring out, focusing on what the positive was and trying to repeat that pattern so that they continue to get that positive feedback and continue to then really take ownership of their actions. And then one of my favorite is use checklists, and my family laughs because from a young girl, I use checklists a lot, but I like a checklist, especially for kids, because it's visual and you can do that with pictures. If your child doesn't read yet or doesn't read a lot, or pictures help, you can use a checklist for a teenager. I like to put mine into some kind of plastic cover so that they can just use a dry erase marker on it and check it down if they like, to make sure they're getting through everything. And that makes sure that they follow the routine, that they don't miss anything in the routine, and that they can look back themselves and check and make sure their own quality control, right? And you can say, hey, have you checked your list? Make sure you check your list before I check it, right? Because I want to make sure that you know that you've done everything, and that when I check it, we know it's done because you've already gone through your list. So what is one thing, my friends, that you commit to delegating and using modeling and practice for this week in your home? What's one thing that you might commit to letting go of perfection, letting go of doing it all yourself, letting go of having it done exactly the way that you'd like it to be done, and instead using it as a teachable moment for your family and giving them those skills they need for their lifetime? What's one thing you guys can think of that you would like to delegate this week? So we've got focusing on success and using as a teachable moment. That's a great one. Anything practical you guys are willing to delegate this week? Like, hey, I'm going to actually have, making dinner. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, you can try. I realize my oldest has a hard time going to the grocery store, so I'll have my youngest pick up some things. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Thank you for those commitments. And for those of you, again, that are joining us on replay, really hope that you take a note and think about what's one thing that you can start delegating to your children to help them learn those skills. Someone said, get kids helping with lunch. Yeah, or packing their lunch if they're going to school, or if they're not old enough to actually pack it, helping to choose the things that go in their lunchbox. Even that little bit of choice empowers them and helps them then to be able to eat that lunch the way they should, right? And know how to plan for what to put in their lunch. Awesome. So our last step today is talking about rewarding accountability. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Empowered families are fueled by each member of the family supporting the family mission, understanding what's expected of them, and being accountable for their attitudes, behaviors, and actions. And most parents only think of consequences when they hear the word accountable, right? Accountable seems to bring this negative or punitive type of thought to our mind. If you get a consequence, that means you've done something bad. Well, consequences can be good or bad, right? You can have something happen as a consequence of a choice that you make that's something good. And so one of the most effective ways to encourage, support, and cultivate a culture of responsibility and accountability in your home is to reward the desired attitudes, behaviors, and actions. That's not to say there's not times that that you don't have to give negative consequences for undesired attitudes or behaviors and actions. But what it does mean is that you place a greater emphasis and importance on what you want to see, as opposed to emphasizing and shining a spotlight on what you don't want to see. This is especially helpful with people that have disabilities or other special needs, or kids that don't effectively differentiate between positive and negative attention. They just know if they do this, they'll get attention, which is something they really want, right? They're looking for attention. And so catch your kids doing things right. Catch your partner, your spouse doing things right. Catch the neighbor kid that's over doing things that you want to see. Catch them doing things right. Find as many people as you can to give feedback in front of your children, in front of your family, of what you'd like to see. Being rewarded and watching others in your household being rewarded for doing things right is often a huge motivator and can actually be a game changer in your family. And, you know, it's true from any age, whether it's, again, your spouse or partner, whether it's your teenager, whether it's your adult child. When everybody starts seeing what you're valuing is this, they start trying to strive for that, as opposed to giving this negative energy for things that are going wrong. And I really highly recommend that when you do have to correct with a punitive type of action or a negative consequence, that you do so really as emotionlessly as possible. Just matter of fact, this is what happened, this is the consequence. You know, sometimes you have to go into an explanation of stuff, but there are so many times when we really don't. We just can say, look, you did this and that wasn't the right thing to do, and now this is your consequence. You know, don't bring so much emotion into it, because that, again, that's attention. What if that child feels like they're not getting enough attention in the house? Someone mentioned that earlier, giving too much attention to one child. And so if they feel like, well, by acting out, I can get attention, you're starting to cut off that line of feeding that negativity by just making it cut and dry. Hey, you know, you didn't do X, right? Whatever that is. And now this is the consequence and it's over, right? And just move on. I'm going to take a look at the chat here. Accountable for attitude, actions, and behaviors, taking ownership. Love this with support. Catch others doing things right. Reminds me of the gotchas we used to do at school. Catch them being on track. Yeah, I love that. All right, so my takeaway is explore ways to cultivate a culture of responsibility and accountability in your home by catching your kids and other people in your home doing things right. And what things do you guys usually reward people in your family for? What are some things that you usually reward people in your family for? Yeah, grades. That's a big one, right? Getting along with your siblings, right? When they do things without me asking them to do it, yep. When they keep their room clean, when they follow the routines that we've asked them to, right? We reward them for those things. And so what I'm asking you to do is just catch people doing more things that you would like to see done, right? Catch them, even if they're doing one part. Wow, I'm really glad that as you got up from dinner, you picked up your plate right away. Maybe they didn't do everything with the plate that you wanted them to, but find the thing that they did do correctly. Now, could you please, scrape off whatever you didn't eat into the trash? That would be great. See how that's different from, hey, you didn't scrape your plate off before you put it in the sink. You need to go back and do that. That's way different than, wow, I'm so glad that the first thing you did when you got up was take your plate to the sink. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Now, could you please, scrape it off? Yeah, exactly. Love that you shared it specifically to tell them exactly what they did, because sometimes we're not sure that they understand what they did well and what we liked. Yes, you want to be specific. When you're giving praise, just don't say, wow, good job. Good job for what? What are we good jobbing for? Specifically name what the action or attitude is that you want to see. I love the way that when your brother yelled at you, you just took a deep breath and turned around and stayed calm. Instead of, hey, thanks for not getting in a fight with your brother. No, what were the actual things that you saw that really made a difference? Okay, let me get back over to my mouse thing here again. Okay, so here are my 3 tips again. Oh, somehow I got back to the other one. Hang on a second. It's just going back and forth. Here we go. So catch your kids and anyone else doing the right things often. Praise and give positive feedback for what you want to see and limit your no's. And then find ways to bring fun into being responsible. And we didn't really talk about this a lot, but if you can find a way to bring fun into being responsible, it makes life so much easier to get through. I mean, how many of us would rather have a fun thing to do than a chore? So maybe you make it a competition in your family in some way, right? Hey, we got to get all this laundry folded. Let's see who can fold the most laundry in the next 2 minutes. And then we're going to give some type of reward for that, right? And then we'll do it again, and someone else might be able to win that reward, and find ways to make things fun. Yes, there might be some quality control issues at first, but as things are more fun, people are more engaged, and then you can do the corrective actions into that. All right. So how many of you have a family why or a mission statement now? Any of you guys? Anybody have a family why or mission statement now? No? Well, I have got that for you, and I think my friend Michelle is going to put that in the chat. I have a free resource. It's called My Family's Why Activity. The link is going to be in the chat. You can click on it now to make sure you can get to it. Are you able to find that? Oh yeah, there, she got it.
Yeah, I think I put in there twice.
Yeah, that's great. We'll do twice. Make sure you click on it now so that you can get to it. Even if you don't fill it in right now, make sure that you can get to the link. Are you guys able to get to it? Because that's a free resource that's really going to help you go through, how do I create a family why? What are some of the steps to take? And it actually has an example of a family mission statement for you. And that'll help a lot with getting started if you don't already have one, which from our chat looks like people don't necessarily have them. So that's one way to start. And that might seem like, well, that's only for the business world. No, it's actually not. Having it for your family helps your family to stay on track together. And our family is one of the most important things in our lives, right? We want them to be successful. And by teaching them these types of habits and helping them to understand what a mission statement is, how much is that going to help them as an adult? You're going to already have modeled that for them as an adult. So make sure you click on the link and get that free resource from me.
I'll also put that into the Facebook group and send an email out after this to everybody that registered for the webinar. So you'll have that in an email.
Awesome. And then for any of our alternative balance members that are here today, you get to enjoy a one-time offer of 30% off any program or service offered at my website. So just would go to my website, check out what I offer. And if you would like to hear more about that, then just make sure you sign up to have a free 30-minute session with me, and we can talk about what you're looking for, what you might need. And at that time, you'll let me know that you're part of the Alternative Balance family, and we'll apply that discount. So far,
What kind of services do you do, Carissa? If you want to talk about that, like what kind of things could someone expect to see?
absolutely. So I have two main programs that I do. One is called the Empowered Mom Blueprint, and really goes through helping moms to take better care of themselves so that they can fulfill their mission to their families. And then I also have a 6-week mental fitness boot camp that I do for anyone in the family 15 and up. Really focuses on strengthening our 3 core mental muscles so that we are able to live life with resilience, with hope, with positivity. And then lastly, I do offer one-on-one services as well for any type of parental coaching or caregiver coaching. I am a certified parent and caregiver coach. So those are some of the offerings that I have. Love for you to check them out. bravelyintentionallife.com.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then
I'll put that into the Facebook group too, obviously, and send that out. And I think I'm going to send the presentation, right? Are you you sent that to me, Carissa? I can send that out, or?
I can send you, yeah. I have that on the slide too. You can either email me or I'll have Michelle send it out. That would be great. I'll send her the final copy so that that can be out. But if you want to email before she sends it out, then you can email me today and I'll send you a copy of the webinar.
Cool.
And if you'd like to connect with me, here's my easy way to do that. Just get your phone out, get the QR code. That takes you to my link tree where you can see all the different things that I've been involved in. I have 2 books that recently came out that I co-authored with other people. There's some of my podcasts on there. There's ways to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook, and also a link straight to booking an appointment with me, a session with me. So you can get that there. So let's open it up. Does anybody have any questions or any comments or any discussion that you'd like to have before we finish up?
I had one question, and I think it's like I've given my kids an allowance for doing things, and I don't think I should have. And I'm just wondering like what your thoughts are on that, because I think now that I've started, I can't go back. But it's like, so you talk about a reward, and now it's like they don't want to do anything unless I pay them to do it.
Well, at every age and stage, it's a little bit different. So you really have to determine what's motivating for your kids. So for my 19-year-old, he does have an allowance that is tied to his chores, right? He still has to do his chores, but if he doesn't complete them when he's supposed to, and I don't just put chores in there, I put things that I want to see in his attitude and behavior. So
that's a good idea.
One of the things I have is, if he was responsible with the things in his room, like he didn't break anything, or if something happened to break, he communicates that to me and lets me know. Or another, like say you have something you don't want your kids getting into, did they respect that space and not get into that week? Or I'm trying to think some that might work for younger kids, but were they kind to their sibling this week, right? Did they use their words when they were frustrated? Did they ask for help when something was too hard? And so if you tie it to more things than just activities, meaning like, straighten up your room, then that takes away that you have to pay me for that. No, you're getting rewarded, right? For all of these things. You're looking at actions, behaviors, and attitudes, not just chores. So think of some things that you might want to see from your kids more, like, hey, I love the way you helped me in the kitchen this week, right? You helped do this or you helped do that, which is not necessarily in their chores, right? So you might say, helping mom cooking dinner. If that's not part of their specific chores, then make that an attitude or an action that you'd like to see from them. Or you were able to get started with your bedtime routine without me reminding you. So if there's things that you're constantly reminding your kids for, that would be good to put in that. And then I would just call it a reward. You know, you're earning your weekly allowance or reward, and you can actually lose that too, right? So if you don't get things done, and I kind of do it on a point system. So for my son, he has a $25 a week, right? And so he has 25 different things that are on his list. And if he misses one, then he misses a point, then he misses $1, you know? You can do it at whatever increment works for you and your kids. I mean, I only have him that I'm raising anymore, so it's a lot easier than like my parents had 5 kids. There's no way we were going to do that every week. But you can do it in whatever increment or whatever reward. It doesn't even have to be money. It could be points towards something, right? Points toward a trip that you're going to take to the candy store or to the jump park or to whatever, or points towards a toy that they really want. I did that a lot when Liam was younger. Now he's really motivated by money because he uses that on his online games and stuff. But when he was younger, we do a point system where he'd earn points towards something that he really wanted. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yeah, my kids are older, so they're teen, well, 19, so.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, interjections? It's been so nice to have those of you who were able to join us live. And again, I just want to thank those who are watching us on the recording as well. Again, here's my resources reminder. There's my website, the QR code, my email. And remember that the My Family Why activity resource link is in the chat. And Michelle will also be sending that out with the recording. So Michelle,
Yeah,
anything else?
No, I'll get that out later today. So thank you so much. This is so great. And thank you for the great work that you do. It's so important. You know, I think it's overlooked a lot, you know, having a resource or a coach, right, in parenting, because I think, you know, and most parents have never done it before. So it's kind of nice to you know, to have someone like you come along and keep someone on track, even if it's just to say like accountability and rewards and things like that, because life can be so busy and you get caught up in everything. And before you know it, it's like chaos. So
It's very,
yeah.
very true. And so,
Yeah.
you know, again, the biggest thing with parents is go back to making sure that you have that hub, right? The hub of your wheel has to be there. And whether you use the family why that I've provided for you or that concept or not, make sure that your family is working off the same goals, right? Whether you do it in that form or not is not as important as it is to make sure that everyone in your family understands what your family is about, what you want to be as a family, what you want to portray to those around you as a family, what you value as a family, and then start getting everyone involved in that. And it's never too late. It really never is too late to start that with your kids. If they're older, then you can really talk about how this is something they're going to need as they go out into the workplace. Every company you work for has some type of mission statement, some type of way that they are doing business. And so helping your teenagers even learn this concept is going to just propel them that much further. And yeah, they might give you that resistance, but as you are consistent with it and as you do that two-way communication, not just this is what I expect, but you really have those conversations and you're patient for the answer. Sometimes you got to leave a long pause and really just wait right? For them to answer. And if they're not ready, hey, that's fine. I want you to think about it. And then at our next time and make it a consistent time where you guys can get together. That was one thing we mentioned in the beginning. It's so hard to have consistent time, but you're going to find that as your kids leave home, they need these skills. And so whether they fully get them as teenagers with you, or whether they start to see that in the workplace, they're going to remember what you did, right? And that's going to connect them back to how much you love and care for them. And that's what we're really trying to do, right? Is fulfill our mission to our families. And these are ways that can help you. So again, thank you. So glad to have you here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I hope that some of these tips will help you in the upcoming week with your families. Take care.
Okay.